Hey everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. Happy hump day. Whoop whoop. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. So today I'm finally dropping you how I make my backing, okay? It's important for me to share with you because I think I have found a way to make this great. um, when I first saw this method, I think the first time I saw it was with Kimberly Jolly of Fat Quarter Shop, but she did just a little bit different. So I tweaked it a bit for me. And then I've seen multiple people kind of doing the same sort of thing, but I have my own little method to my madness, right? But you'll see people's, and it's important when you start doing that, find the person that you connect with and can understand, because that's the method that's going to work for you. I'm going to show you mine because I super love it. It's so easy. And I hope it's helpful. If anything, it'll make you think, right? So I am getting the backing for this lovely quilt, okay? Still have a couple blocks left that I got to do some stitching on the seams to make it that crazy quilt. I have a couple left, but I want to tell you the first thing I do is I measure my quilt. And this particular one is 39 and a half by, I think it's 48 and a half. So that 39 and a half, what I want to do, since I'm doing this on my domestic, I want to just a couple of inches or so on the outside, okay? So that it gives me something to hold on to. If you put that backing the same as your topper, when you go to quilt, if you're doing it on a domestic, you'll have no room to hold on to as you're going under and around the needle, okay? So that's why I just need a couple of inches on each side. So that would be, I'm going to take my 39 and a half and I'm just going to make it 40, okay? Just makes the math easy. And I said a couple of inches, so I'm going to go real easy. I'm just going to make it 5. 5 is divided by 2 for 2 sides would be 2.5 inches. I'm really good with that, okay? So 45 inches is what I need in width to do this on a domestic, to have something to hold. If you're going to do this for a long armor, you need to talk to your long armor. They prefer usually anywhere between 3 and 5 inches extra. When I long arm, I add more also, okay? But I'm doing this on a domestic, so I only need a couple inches. So 45 inches is my number, okay? So what I'm going to do, or what I did, is I multiplied that by 2. That gives us 90 inches, right? Now I got to get my calculator. Give me a hot minute. So 90 inches, if we took that 90 inches and we divide it by 36, which is your yard, okay, that's going to give you 2.5 yards. So I went to the quilt shop. I had the person at the counter cut me 2.5 yards. Yes, it was here, but I had Michael cut my 2.5 yards for me. So I cut 2.5 yards because that is 90 inches, okay? And it happens to be even, so that was really nice. If it was 2.33, you might have to round up, right, to the half. It depends on your quilt shop. You want to make sure you have enough, though. So I had them cut 90 inches, 2.5 yards. And then they folded it up and handed it to me, and I went from there. Straight off the bolt, just like it's folded. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'll see you in just a sec. So here we are. I've got my backing fabric straight off the bolt. I haven't pressed it, done nothing. It's straight off the bolt, which is so important. If you're wondering why, it's because once we start manipulating it, it kind of does some interesting things sometimes, right? So, and to be real with you, I'm going to be real. I get a little lazy, okay? So I want to go ahead and just cut the fabric, sew it together, and be done. And that's what we're going to do. In case you're also wondering what this is, because it's absolutely scrumptious, this is from QT Fabrics, and the line is called Vibe. This particular color is called Wine. Gotta love it because it says wine. Okay. Yes, I love me some wine when I'm done quilting. At any rate, straight off the bolt, we need to first give it a couple of cuts before we actually sew this together. So the first thing I do is I kind of just unravel it a bit. Okay. I'm going to move it down. I'm actually going to go ahead and unfold it, but I don't unfold the crease down here. I don't go that far. Okay. I like, and I'm sorry about the headshot there, but I do like just to leave it just as I got. Now I do notice there's a little crinkle right here. You know, it happens on the bolt, the way that it gets folded and then it stays that way. It's cotton. It's going to find its memory, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. It hasn't done me wrong yet, and I don't plan on changing the method. And this is so stinking easy. All I did was unfold it. Now, I do have it folded in half. Why? Because we're going to cut it in half first, okay? And then we're going to cut off the selvage. So let me go ahead and cut it in half, because if we've done our math right, we doubled to get the math of what our quilt needed. And I'm going to line up down here. I'm going to check out the selvage on top. Oh my gosh, this is like almost perfect. And I try to get as close as possible. Oh my gosh, this is looking really good because I don't want to waste a whole bunch. And then I'm just going to simply, this is folded in half one time, okay? I want to reiterate that. I do have it folded in half. Now, all I did was take it straight from the bolt as it came and left it one time folded. So I'm going to line that up again. Hey, everybody. Saying hello. All right. Let's get this all nice and flat and pretty. And like I said, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a little crinkle right here. I'm not worried about it. Not even going to worry about it. What I am worried about is that I'm actually lining up in half. And I don't have some kind of weirdness that goes cattywampus. And I actually do. Okay. And I've given myself enough extra to not stress too much. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to reline this up. Nope, that's correct. All right. Reline it up. I'm getting as close to the half area as possible. And I just want to cut it in half. Ooh, that's not going to work. Okay, let's try this again. That works. That works. Okay, here we are. So now that I've got it folded in half one time, all the selvages are at the top. I did not press. I did not undo this bottom seam at all. I'm using my line on my 1/4 inch here to line up along the bottom crease, and I'm looking at the top, and from here I look good, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half. Okay, so now I have 2 halves that are equal. The most important part about this next step, we have 4, I'm going to pull this down a little further so you don't get a headshot, a little further more. Okay, so we actually have 4 selvages. QT Fabrics, gotta love it, right? 2 from the bottom and 2 from the top. So what I like to do is I like to take the 2 inners. Okay, you have 4, so there's going to be 1 on the bottom and one on the top. I'm going to take it from these two, okay? Plain and simple. And I'm going to lift it up and shake it out. I'm going to change the camera view for you so you can actually see me doing this, but this is exactly what's happening. I'm taking the inner two and I'm going to pull them up, okay? Okay, so I've got the inner two. I gave you the close-up. Now we're looking far away. And I'm just going to simply pull those two up. Okay, so now I only have two selvages on top. And I want to sew these together, selvage to selvage. So I wanted to come back at this angle because I want you to know I'm actually going to fold this in half. And I want it to be equal along the edge as much as possible because it wasn't a straight cut off the bolt. And I'm going to layer down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these selvages. There we go. Cut along here to get the selvage off. The reason you don't want to sew, some people, you know, if you do it and it works for you, don't change it. But the selvage has a tighter weave and it causes a little challenge in your piecing. So just like we don't put the selvage with our piecing, we don't want to do it when we piece the back. That's essentially what we're doing. Now you have an option here. You can leave it just one time folded like I'm going to, or you can fold it again and just cut that way. But I don't want to do that. I like to have a good amount that I'm not manipulating too much. Just spreading it out. I'm going to pull you in the overhead again. And I'm going to show you that I just simply cut off the selvages and then we're going to pin, guys. Okay. Straight from here. Okay. And I'm going to flip this over. I want the raw edges towards me, I think. And then that way, when I go to cut, it will be easier to pin, I think. Just my own opinion. So let me pull you in the overhead and we'll get this selvage cut and we'll get it pinned together and then we'll go from there. I'm back at you now and I will tell you it's going to be up to quilter's preference. I usually try to line up on the fold just because it makes life a little easier, especially if you had a cuttywonkus on the bolt. But we're going to do it this way this time. And I want to cut off this selvage. I don't want it to be in, oh, this looks good, inside my quilt, okay, for the backing. Well, you know, yep, nope, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the selvage here. Just trying to line up. I am looking on top because this is generally where I try to line things up. And it's harder for me to see up there, but the bottom looks okay. And I'm just going to simply cut off the selvage. Oop, I just slid a little bit. When I cut, it's going to be fine. It's all fine. Okay. So all of these selvages have been cut, but what we're going to do now is we're going to start to pin. Okay. Now, if you didn't have a big ruler like I just did, whether it's a 6.5 by 24.5 or a Big Easy that is 24.5 by 12.5, you can fold it again to really utilize the size of the ruler that you do have. But now I'm just going to simply start pinning 2 layers at a time together. Okay, and I'm just simply going to take my pins and pin all the way up. Now, I like to overpin. It's just me. Okay. You don't have to. Let me see if I can just, I'll go a little bigger than normal because it really is okay. I'm just crazy about pinning. Okay. Now I'm going to start with the bottom here because I'm going to pull this down with you, and it's 2 layers, and notice I've got right sides together, and that's because of the way we pulled it. And you know that we sew right sides together. I still have not pressed. Nope, I'm doing my habit. I'm going to go a little bigger because it's really not necessary to pin super close like I usually do. Okay. The reason I'm doing this is, like I said, it's because I'm actually going to pull this down a bit. A little closer to me because I don't want too much of a headshot of my hair. And I'm just simply coming around 2 pieces, right sides together. I get to the corner, I'm just going to put another pin in it. Important that you just try and keep the fabric nice and flat and straight. Oops. And once I'm done with this, oh, I'm doing it again. I super love to pin close. It's just a habit. Okay, so I've got it all pinned, 2 layers together. And all I'm going to do, I prefer to sew my 2 pieces together with a 1/2 inch seam. I will tell you that is the general quilting population tends to do that. We believe that that extra 1/4 inch in the seam gives us more stability and makes it stronger and easier to not have fault in the seam. However, I do know people that do a 1/4 inch. So again, and they have no problems. So again, it's up to quilter's preference. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong if you're sewing it with a 1/4 inch and it works for you. I'm not going to do that because I don't believe that. For me, though, I do prefer to sew a 1/2 inch seam. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch seam, and it's all going to be one piece, okay? Together. We've sewn selvage to selvage together. And then I'll come back at you. I'll see you guys in just a sec. Back at you. Here is my stitch line. I actually did it in a dark gray. It doesn't show on the other side. It's not pressed. Don't press yet. Okay. If we open this up, remember we sewed the selvage to selvage. So opened up all the way across, okay, is going to be like something ridiculous, like 84 inches. Well, my quilt top is actually 48 and a half. I'm going to just make it 49. So 49, I want 5 inches, or 4 inches actually is enough. 4 inches on each side beyond the quilt. So I need to cut this down, and it is folded in half, guys. Okay, I have this folded right up here one time. Okay, you can hold this up to fold it, get it nice and straight as you can. Okay, I do put the stitch line on, whoop, it's not, on the 0. And if you go past, it's fine, because at least then you'll know that you're not, it's not being calculated. That's the important part, is you are not calculating all the way to the edge, because we've taken a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, so put that stitch line on the 0. And I just don't feel like I'm straight. Okay. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and move it back up because I liked it there. It's really more important to just have a nice flat area. This is beyond your 0, or on your 0. Now, 49 plus 8 inches, because I want 4 on one side and 4 on the other, so that 4 plus 4 is 8. 49 and 8 is 57. 57 divided by 2, because this is folded in half, okay? So when I go to open it up is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to cut, what I say, 57 divided by 2 is 28 and a half. I hate halves. I hate cutting halves. I can do it, and you can too, but I like that solid line. I just prefer it. And then I like to take the fold as my true and get it nice and lined up. Now, you can eventually, again, pull this so that your fold is towards you so you can see better. But I'm not worried because I'm doing extra, okay? There's all this extra. I'm cutting it down. I'm doing it on the 29. 29 and 29 is 58, so I'll have plenty, okay? And I'm just going to simply, whoop, I just slid. Give it a cut. All right. That's when you want to use a dumbbell if you slippy slide, or the stickies. I don't have stickies on this particular ruler. So now what's going to happen is we can open this up, and now I will press it. I will press the seam. I will press all the goodies, and this will be a total of 50, 29 and 29, 58 inches. I have to keep doing the math. I'm going to go ahead and press this open so it lays nice and flat. And we have created a backing that simple, plain and simple, right off the bolt, and it's plenty big, and it's nice, pretty, and straight. So I'm going to get this pressed. Once it's pressed, you can do yourself a favor and put the top on top of the batting to make sure. You can do it before you cut in half. You can fold it all out, make sure it's wide enough, put your topper right on top, and you can test before and test after just to make sure that you didn't cut too much. And if you did, I ain't gonna lie to you, you can put another seam down there and make it even longer. What you can't do is, if you don't have enough fabric to begin with, you can't make more, right? So it's not the end of the world. But this is exactly how I make my batting. So let me come back at you. I'm going to press this down here. I'm going to press this all out, press this flat and open, press the rest of the fabric, and we will be ready to quilt. So I'll see you in just a sec. So she's done. She's pressed. I do have them pressed open. That's my preference. Is it okay? It's okay to press to one side. It truly is. And if that works for you, great. I just find it sometimes easier to press this open when it's all out. Just a thing. You can press it either way. Some people like to press it to one side because they feel like there's more stability. But I pressed mine open. Sometimes I'll press them to the one side. It just depends on the day. I'm not really that picky. I just found it easier for me to press open, okay? That's the only reason. I do not find it any less weak or any more weak if I press it open. I have had no problems, so again, I don't really change the method if I don't have problems. And I will probably have to press this again because I didn't let it sit. You want to let it sit until you're ready to quilt. Now, this I'm doing this on my domestic machine. So I didn't add I did add enough for a long armor going one direction. If you do if you want to send it to long armor, you need at least 4 or 5 going all the way around. I would encourage you to talk to your long armor to see what their preference is. And that's for another video. I'll definitely discuss that. But my backing's ready. I will be able to put my quilt top on it and get it quilted, secured, because I did the one with the crazy quilt, and so I've got batting on there already. And so I'm just going to stitch in the ditch. I'm going to have a little fun doing that. But she's ready. And it all came straight off the bolt. no pressing until the end. That's my method. Super love it. Works great. And I haven't ran into any problems. It's encouraging now because I'm quilting this, so I don't have to be too persnickety because I only need a couple inches on each side, truly. If for some reason something wasn't straight, it would be okay as long as it wasn't cattywampus cutting off the quilt. But I cut plenty, so we're good. And I use this when I do my own long arming also. I use the same method. And I actually have found a trick that I'll share with you on the live. As far as, I don't know if you've ever sewn the two pieces together and one's longer than the other. I got something for you. So, at any rate, speaking of the live, we will be on today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Why? Because we're in Virginia. It is our live Q&A, live quilting and answers. So I will definitely see you today. Hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any comments. I love comments, love suggestions, love what you do, because we all have our own method. I'm just showing you ours, okay? So until next time, until 3 p.m. today, may you all continue to be inspired, productive, ever so joyful. Never stop believing and never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. I love y'all. Happy quilting. Whoop, whoop. Happy hump day. And I'll see you all soon.